Welcome viewers to ePathshala lecture series in architecture for PG students. Well, this particular session we will be looking at the second part of your 3D analysis and surface modeling. We were just discussing about the 3D data. Now let us see how 2D data can also be displayed or draped over a surface. Because whatever the input what we get, it will be three-dimensional model over which you will have to incorporate or superimpose your 2D shape files. Only it becomes a excellent method of visualization. Say for example, streams, one good example. We can also superimpose contour lines, which may be derived, this DEM itself might have been derived from contour lines, but still you can superimpose the contour lines. You can also superimpose over a digital orthophoto. That is, the model itself can be superimposed on a orthophoto. You can see here. On a digital orthophoto, you can see how the data, namely your drainage system, is displayed. So, this is one of the good examples of how superimposition of your vector data or shape files on 3D data can also be done, or it could be a raster data, namely your orthophoto. What type of shape files, because a new feature type will just normally get generated. 2D shape files have only x and y coordinates, whereas your 3D shape files incorporate a z coordinate, which we have just been telling all this time. This can be, the z value can also be represented as, it could represent any numerical phenomena, it need not necessarily be the height value. One of the values could be a height value, or as I was telling you, your population data or any other detail. And very importantly, remember that you can convert any 2D data into your 3D shape file. That is a good advantage. And normally we depend on a particular value, a constant value, that will be the input. Based on that you can create a model. Visualization, I am just telling you about that, how you can superimpose and visualize the data. We are trying to superimpose data, 2D data in 3D by draping and extruding. Extruding means protruding over the surface. You can also go around the object or the map, navigation, moving around in real time. That is one good example. And we can also go for real time perspective viewing. So, this is the way in which you can visualize the data. So, this simple draping, you just simply take the data, take the DEM, use your shape files and then drape them. You just look at it. You are not going to do any kind of analysis. You can just go around that, move the mouse around, and you can just have a look at it. That's one good thing you can do here. There is another method of saying by draping, 3D visualization. So, this is what I was telling, extruding. Specifically, any particular application, population for that matter, sex ratio for that matter, literacy rate for that matter, or if you have specific values for individual buildings, you can use this technique, and then you can visualize 2D features in 3D just by extrusion. This is another method of extrusion. See here, normally your drainage value will be your, say, this sort of thing, isn't it? It will be. So, you are extruding this, and that is 2-dimensional, and extrusion, this drainage is in 3-dimension. Just slightly, that is a way in which, just to know how well or what could be the possible depth of the drainage, highly kind of a sophistication applications. Navigation through your 3D document or 3D scene document, how do you do that? You have methods, a simple one, almost all the software will have a facility, and that will help you to navigate, a tool for navigation. Obviously, you have methods, of course, if you just go through each one of them, you will understand what exactly you can do. If you want, you can rotate the data, you can just try to view the data, all this kind of things can be done, and each one of them, either you can use this method, this process, or you can use the keyboard, in which you can use the arrow keys and the movement, or you can use shift with an arrow key and things like that. Each one of them can be applied and used. So, let us see this in real time, how it is. See, from this particular thing, by looking at it, it may not be really expressing what exactly is that, but when you just try to zoom that and then take it, when you navigate along the object, you can see that how the waters are moving from here to here, how this water, the drainages are generated, how it is, what direction it's moving from here to here and things like that. So, that's a huge advantage of using your say 3D analysis. Surface modeling, kind of a contouring which I have been telling you. Profiling, take XY, point A, point Y, profile the data. Simple contouring is a regular one, profiling to know what exactly, you can see that, let us see that. Hill shading to make it visually very pleasant to the viewers, hill shading, color shading of the hill map. Or you are knowing the steepest descent from point A to point B in any given area, which part of the area is steepest in nature. I think these are all very, very important in kind of say trekking. By looking at you can know, but to even before going for trekking, you should know which are the areas which are steeper in nature. So, that such analysis, this particular thing is facilitated. Steepest descent, that point A to point B, what is the height variation. View shed and visibility is what I was telling you. How do you view a particular watershed or any area from a particular point, and then if you can also get the visibility analysis, in the sense as I was telling you initially, when you get stuck up, when you find that a particular point is not visible from the point of your origin or your point of view, you just create another point, go there and then visualize. So, it's something like taking a turn, a blind turn, and you will be seeing more and more objects. Of course, another application in using 3D analysis, 3D data is your slope and aspect calculation. Invariably, they use contours to do this. You can also use 3D data to calculate the slope and the aspect of a given terrain. So, contouring, I was telling you how contours can, say how you can superimpose. Modeling using your surface modeling using DEM, a digital elevation model. See how well it's come now. So, what you see on the left side is your say DEM. On the right side, you find the contours which are superimposed over a DEM. So, you can also see the way in which the complexity of the contours. From here, of course, you can see, but the complexity of the contours are seen here. See how difficult it is for one to navigate here physically on the surface. This sort of analysis are useful for say in general in the field for say geological and other applications. You can also superimpose your DEM data on your satellite data. So, satellite data, as you know, I was just telling you, you can get your 2-dimensional data. You can also get 3D data. From the 3D data, you create a DEM. That DEM can again be superimposed on your 2-dimensional satellite data. That's a beautiful part. Here, there is a comparison of 3 different DEMs. Each one of them are obtained. I told you can also download the data. SAGA, Satellite Advanced Global Architecture, the first one A. The second one is your GRASS, is one of the software which is available. Using a 1 on 24,000 topo map, a contour lines, they have created this one. The third one is derived from using a LIDAR. So, one of the latest techniques in which you can create a DEM. It may appear same, but you can see that this is much sharper. You agree with me? You can see here it is not that very sharp here, but when you see here, once the shadow is more, that means it's indicating of your say sharpness. So, LIDAR is very expensive, but still you get a better DEM surface from that. I was telling you about your profiling part of it. You can see here, this is the way in which I want to know what is the profile of the area, the cross section from point A to point B, and you can, this is the way in which it's there. So, it's a very good tool. Simply just click on point A and point B, ask for the system to profile that or draw something like say a graph, a graphical representation of your height and elevation, how it is there. Color shading, you can see here why color shading is required. The moment you look at an image, you may think, oh, it is something like say steeper in nature, or it could be relatively less steeper in nature or smooth in profile. But when you want a general public to understand what exactly the way in which that particular terrain looks, you can just give colors for different heights, making it the darker the color, namely the red color as you see here, the darker the color, the higher the elevation. The lighter the color, the green color, relatively low in elevation or slopes for that matter. So, color hill shading becomes a very important part in presenting the data of the DEM what is generated by you. It could be for any kind of analysis. You see here, the moment this is what actually it's showing, but when I shade that color, this red color in a different manner, you see how it becomes. The same thing, it appeared as though the entire area was a simple slope, but you can see here how the area is variation. You can see here a lot of variation is there for the same area, a lot of variation is there. See the impact of your hill shading over a terrain. So a DEM may be appearing, this also appears slightly good. I was telling you this dark color is indicative of higher elevation, this is of lower elevation, but exact coloring will give you the real picture what is hidden behind that term. A DEM, if it is color shaded, will get a better model, and this is what we normally call as surface modeling. Now you can plan accordingly what is required here. Over a terrain surface, when I am just trying to drape an image over a terrain surface, an image, satellite image could be, or it could be your orthophoto, or it could be any other aerial photograph. So when I just start zooming that or going into that, you can see the values or the way in which we were looking at, you can see here, it didn't appear much variation, but still when I start moving closer to that object, you can see here, there's a lot of variation in the elevation here, and its characteristics very simple and straight. So this is one of the things which is there in almost all the GIS software. ArcGIS is no exception, because one of the best rather. You can find the values of any given point in using a simple info tool, but you cannot edit the data. As I was telling you, the most important a kind of development which has taken place over a period of time is your, say, GIS Pro, one of the interesting and important one. So this ArcGIS Pro is given a facility for an individual to edit the three-dimensional data, which is the very important kind of application which has been developed over a period of time now. So simply I was just telling you, use your identity button or info button and then click on the DEM. This is the info button, and this info button will give you, this is the one, the blue one, you can get over the tin and get its characteristics and values. All the details pertaining to a particular point, whatever is stored what is being stored will also be displayed here. It is not that you can also just look at it, you can also classify the data, tin scene, and add it to the table of contents. This is what is called as the TOC, or the table of contents. You can classify them. Now initially when you are just looking at these images, you don't have any idea of what will be the elevation at any given point, and by using a tool we are able to understand at a particular point. For the entire area, if you want to do, how is it possible, isn't it? You would like to know what would be the variation, the height for the entire area. So this is how you can see. You can classify data. You can not only look at the data by getting any for individual point, you can classify the data accordingly and give the values as it is. So the darker the values, the lighter the values, and it becomes the lightest, and this will be a kind almost like a water body. Almost your if I take into consideration the height, it may be 0. If you take elevation, elevation is always referred to with respect to your mean sea level, or MSL we call it as. So that will be the MSL. So you will have the values given. So this is how we can classify the data and understand what is present where, the values part of it. A kind of adding say a satellite data, adding of satellite data for your DEM which is when generated. How do you use this? For that particular area, acquire the satellite data, and then you try to superimpose them. It's not only superimposition, you can also navigate, that is go through, pass through, fly through rather we call it as. Pass through the entire object. You go around the image and see the relationship between the surface texture. So you can see with the help of your colors which are given, and understand what could be the possible shape of the terrain in that area. So that's a good example of this. You can see here. So this may not appear very appealing. Of course it is there, but when I start going around, you see how it goes here, and you will get all the details about particular area by just going through, fly through. So it's almost become a kind of a visual treat for you, three-dimensional model. In fact, what we call it as computer graphics, or CG, in almost all the big films, they use this technology. Of course, we are not going to use that technology. we are only going to fly through. We are not going to, because we are not going to create data for which is required for that particular application. It's a very expensive process, very, very expensive, inordinately expensive. For us to know about the terrain part of it, you can use this. In fact, we can also use this as one of the inputs into your visual communication analysis at students level. At student level, they can understand and work on this. So you can fly through the object. What is done? Nothing is done here. A DEM is created. It is superimposed on a satellite data. Naturally, everything whatever is present in that area can be. See here, when I just looking at it, this appears to be a good visualization, but when you just make it straight parallel to the surface, see, by doing so you can see that this is the elevated rocky terrain and these are the various plains and this is the alluvial plain. So visualization, understanding the features, how to understand the features about that particular terrain, about that particular area, you can use your say satellite data. It could also be radar data. Radar data is a very advanced method of looking at the surface. These radars are capable of penetrating the clouds. One major drawback in your say visible spectrum use as far as your satellite is concerned, it cannot penetrate clouds, it cannot penetrate surface. But this radar is one radio detection and ranging, is that which is capable of penetrating. You must have heard about radar being used for identifying your aircrafts. That could be the common man's understanding of radar. But here, as far as satellite data is concerned, radar data is very, very powerful. Of course, though it is very expensive, you can obtain the data. So you can put the radar data, that is draping of radar image over your terrain surface. You can see again the relation between the various general shape of the object within the land surface, the textures of the rocks, because it has got a capability, as I told you, to penetrate into the surface through the leaves and things like that. So it may you can even see the texture of the rocks. So and what is the sediment that is made up of that particular terrain. So the way in which you can see here all the three things here, a floodplain, an alluvial plain or alluvial fan, we call it as deposition of material from the hill shade, and elevated rocky terrain is also shown here. If you want, you can also click and hold the scene with your mouse and slowly drag up to the left. So when you just do like this, the scene also rotates. So by rotating, as I was just telling you here, you see here, so this is actually in one elevation like this. So when you want to make it like in this fashion, you want to make it little sloping toward away from you, then you can see use this by just holding the mouse on the image and then rotating it. So you can get the valley part, you can understand where the valley part is there, you can understand where the higher land is there, and from left to right and whichever direction you want, you can move around and understand it. You can see here. You can see what we have done. What is the difference between this scene is that one way of just going through and then looking at it. Another method of is vertical exaggeration. As the name indicates, exaggerating the data. So you may know that a given terrain, it may be say a uniform value or different values and different elevations in a given terrain. You would like to have a better visualization. You may find that there is not much of variation between the land and the hill terrain. So in that context, you may have to exaggerate the data. In fact, many times in even satellite data, they exaggerate the data because that will not affect your basic input data. By exaggerating the data, by multiplying the entire area by common factor, you will be in a position to know better visualization. You can see here what will happen is this will get exaggerated very well. You can see here when compared to the previous image, this is the way, this is what actually the original height. By exaggeration, vertical exaggeration, you can see here how this is protruding much higher when compared to the surrounding areas. So these are the alluvial fans which are there, and this is what I was telling you, the floodplain area. So vertical exaggeration is nothing but exaggerating the data by multiplying the entire thing, say by a constant value. So when you use that, it will automatically get exaggerated. So when you just look at the entire world as such, say one of the excellent method of representing is your world in 3 dimension. You must have seen in your school days a 3D atlas which will be normally hung on your teachers, geography teachers or headmisters or somewhere in the laboratory, they will be hanging that. So that's one way of doing it. So when that is there, you can also look visually how it appears, and you see the elevation in various meters and the values are given, and the entire globe as such shown here in this method. Steepest descent, moving from one particular, so this particular point of A to B, how you can just have the descent, the slope descent I was telling you, fall from one particular point to another point. So, you can get the value. See, this is the steepest descent in a given area. So, in a two dimensional you do not understand anything, in a 3D you will be getting this one. View shed and visibility analysis. I would like to know or see a particular area from a particular point viewing. So, I can see like this. You can, what that does, it just calculates areas from a visible point. So, this is how it just goes. You can also calculate the slope and aspect. For any given point, from one point to another point, what is the slope of the area? What is the aspect of the area? That is the direction part of it. Slope is a very important application, this one finding. And first, I do understand it's a very difficult thing in terms of your say calculating slope using just like your just 2D data. Go for a 3D data, obtain the 3D data. Of course, very importantly, when I am using 2D data, slope calculation becomes little relatively ineffective in sense you use only contours known to you, a 20-meter contour. So, when I am using a 20-meter contour, it will not be possible for you to get accurate results, because you do not know what is between one contour line and the other contour line. If they are very close to each other, does not matter. If they are far away, you do not know what exactly could be the height between one contour and another contour. So, when you just use this 3D model, you will be getting a better idea, especially using your aerial photographs. A kind of a pseudo visualization, 3D visualization is achieved by say rendering surfaces. I think you must have heard about this rendering surfaces in a perspective view. So, we just simply animate the values, this displays, and then draping other geographic features or images. What is essential in this context? Please observe a little carefully. For getting this a kind of a 3D model, it requires surface elevation data, which can be obtained from say your satellite data, which already we have seen SRTM or LiDAR data, or your any other elevation data. So, this is the way in which you can say one is the lowest value map layers. You have to create these various map layers. One is the lowest and 11 is the highest, various thing. It could be a polygon, some of them may be lines, some of them may be points also. So, this is the way in which you can see this. Digitizing the data and database creation, simple. Now, this is where you have to understand. Each map layer requires two attribute fields, namely elevation and height for 3-dimensional rendering. Otherwise, unless otherwise you get the height and the elevation. As a elevation I told you with respect to your mean sea level, and height of the object from that particular point to this particular height. It could be a building, it could be a road, or it could be any park or any other thing. So, all these are ground based objects. The same thing which are floating material, something like a bridge. So, you have this will be the height, the elevation of the particular point, and from here will be your height of the object. It could be roofs, it could be floors, or it could be bridges, etc. So, this is absolutely necessary for rendering or creating a 3D model. Now, this is a way in which you can create a simple building height. So, getting information in 3D, you require, I was just telling you, height and elevation, and then create a DSM or a digital surface model using a LiDAR data. What I was trying to tell you is that you have to obtain the height of an object, be it a building or anything like a bridge. To create a 3D model, one has to get the height and elevation. So, as you see here, you can get for both the buildings here as well as for any floating objects like your say bridges and etc. Once I get that value, store the value in your database. The advantage here is that for every building you will have 4 corners. For those 4 corners you can create, or anywhere you have an offset. If it is a rectangular or a square, you can get 4. If you have offset, you take z values for all the points there, and then create a model. Very simple. Just add the values, because you already know the xy. You are only trying to create the z value. You are getting the z value from the field, and then incorporating for the same xy value its z value. Once a z value is obtained, you can create the model. You can just see here, I will just show you just how well you can create that. So, this is the one. So, apart from your getting your xy value, for every given point you will have a z value. It could be different locations or the same object at different places. So, for that particular building you can get the z and z value apart from your xy, which is already there in the, because it is actually a georeferenced map, is not it? You agree with me? Now, here a DSM, I was just telling you about a DSM for landscaping purposes. You can try to zoom this, go through around, okay. It is something like a replica. What I am showing you here at the bottom is your replica of this one. Its value, this is the original one, the DSM part, and this is a 2-dimensional. From here we create this one. You understand that part? So, this is what actually is being done in your, say, 3D analysis. So, you know the vector data, namely the 2D data here. This 2D data obtain the z value or the elevation value and then create the building. Once the building is created and once you are able to generate the entire landscape, for the entire area you just generate the landscape, you have the advantage of using or fly through, going through that. So, now I wish to go through along this line and then find out what is there, or I would like to make modifications. So, that is what I was just telling you. This Q3 GIS Q Pro or Pro rather has got the facility of editing the data. You can fly through, at the same time you can also edit the data by giving different colors, because when I just want to look at it, I want to have a clear cut idea what exactly is there. You see here, by giving colors to the object, whatever I am looking at. I know that these are of buildings which are almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 floor storied. These are more than that, 8 or 9, these are only hardly 3 storied, and this could be one huge shed or one single building, or 3 or 4 storied. So, depending upon what you have here, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Apart from that, my way of visualization will also be like this: the road network, how the road network is there. Of course, planning part you are the best. As an architecture you will be having a much better idea. To visualize this, you may also have a ArchiCAD, a high end software, but on a regional scale. So, that is what I am interested more in that. On a regional scale, for your architecture purposes, this is a very good tool. See, I want to go through this. I was just telling you the same thing what I have shown you. I want to go along this particular area or fly through this area. So, what I am going to do is I just show you by zooming that and then showing that how it comes. You see here. So, by flying through, I will know where I am supposed to have this stairs, skywalk we call it, isn't it? Skywalk. So, you just go around. So, you know that the vehicle movement will be there and the man will be moving like this from here to here, and they can go around and then leave the plane without going through any part of your, say, road. So, this sort of analysis you can use your 3D analysis, and then of course, again I am telling you time and again, very important aspect is that the input what you get are supposed to get is that the elevation data for everything. So, this modeling can be done. Okay, this is for your something like a model what you intend to do for architecture purposes using other software. When you are doing something like a smart city and Amrut city I was telling you. So, where in which you want to visualize for the entire area, large area, tens of square kilometers. In fact, some of the cities what they are planning to do is that they are trying to use say 100 square kilometers or a 50 square kilometer area are being extended to 200, 600. There is one case where in which we just say that 125 is the actual size of the particular city, and now they want to extend or make it as a Amrut city for almost 1200 square kilometer, that is 10 times the original area. So, in that context it is not possible for you to go through like this. So, this sort of analogy where in which you want to visualize, you can use your other software for regional purposes. So, this is what I am trying to say. Now, I am actually now looking at the regional purpose analysis. So, I want to see that how well you can use this. So, this sort of analysis you have to use ArcGIS software, where in which that will have a clear cut idea or a knowledge about what exactly is present where. So, once I create a 3D model, I also have the facility to edit, also to fly through. Thank you.